If someone claims to be an alien or hybrid, we need them to provide proof. They could conjure up all manner of storytelling details about their culture, etc. But it'll always fall flat since we can invent fiction at an astonishingly beautiful level. What we really need is something like a solved maths equation, or a whole new branch of mathematical thought. What if we've pretty much got this already? But nobody seems to care because it's too weird. The great mathematician Ramanujan claims he got his ideas via Namagiri, which we could perhaps call a non-human intelligence. His mother was also aware of Namagiri. This whole thing seems too weird for people to consider properly, so it's kind of brushed aside. Namagiri seemingly produced output that exceeded Ramanujan's independent cognitive capacity. The Mach theta functions, Ramanujan introduced these in his last letter to Hardy, written from his deathbed in 1920. He described a new class of mathematical functions and listed examples. He had no proof, no framework. The theoretical apparatus needed to understand what he'd found. Mass forms, the theory of modular forms at the level required, didn't exist yet. It took 80 years for Ken Ono and Catherine Brinkman to prove. What did Ramanujan's peers make of his technique? Why didn't they investigate? Hardy seemingly failed to ask Ramanujan any systematic questions about the phenomenology of reception for his wild mathematical leaps. No interest. It worked with mind-blowing success, but whatever. He just saw it as romantic, deep intuition. Maybe that's correct. Oh, J.E. Littlewood said every positive integer was a personal friend of Ramanujan's. This is completely avoiding the actual question. How did Ramanujan do this? How do we communicate with our own Namagiri? Was Ramanujan's caudate nucleus especially developed? Through brain imaging studies of individuals with high intuition and those who report extraordinary experiences, Gary Nolan has focused on a specific brain region called the caudate nucleus and basal ganglia. He found an unusually dense network of neurons connecting this region to the rest of the brain, theorizing that it acts as a central node for intuitive processing or picking up anomalous information. Bertrand Russell, one of the greatest minds, said nothing on Namagiri. Why not? Too weird. Categorical avoidance of strangeness, from which we might learn a huge amount from, is just adding more weirdness to the equation. It's like Aristotle and Cicero dismissing the Oracle of Delhi, which again feels like a non-human intelligence to me. Philip K. Bleep getting a Volley's message about his son's health and it ultimately saving his life is another example of NHI evidence. If taken at face value, what are we to make of this? Should we be looking for NHI evidence outside of our typical areas of crashed/landed vehicles and the abduction experiences?